Hello and welcome to RGS Completing Ethics Forms. In this tutorial I'll be guiding you through how to complete, sign and authorise an RGS hosted ethics form. Once added to the Ethics Approval Active section, ethics application forms can be completed by any project member. However, only the Coordinating Principal Investigator, CPI, can sign the WA Health Ethics Application Form, or WAHEF. The WA Specific Module, or WASM, does not require a signature, because this always accompanies the Human Research Ethics Application, or HRE, which requires the CPI signature. Ethics forms must be authorised prior to submission. Only the CPI or the CPI delegate can do this. This grid will display the status of a form and who has updated it last. Statuses will be displayed as pending, hasn't started, in progress, when awaiting completion, in use, when it is checked out to a project member for editing, complete, when it is complete and awaiting signatures, and authorised, when it has been signed and authorised. This is an example of a WASM. Click on the hyperlink name to open it. All forms will contain the project header and access to the project tabs, which you can always right-click to open in a new window for reference. Always click Edit to complete a form. Completing a form in edit mode uses similar functionality as demonstrated in completing project details. However, the form contains pre-populated information from project details which can't be edited in the form. If you need to amend any of this information, you will have to update the information in project details, reauthorize project details, and then refresh the form to allow the new information to populate it. RGS uses branching questions or skip logic in its forms. Your answers provided in project details and in mandatory fields will vary what questions you see next. Depending on what your project involves, the WASM may be only one page long. When it is finished, mark it complete. This is an example of a WAHEF from another project. The WAHEF is longer than a WASM because it contains questions asked in both the HRE and WASM combined. Be mindful that you cannot add or edit an ethics form if sections 1, 2 and 4 of project details are not authorised. Unlike the WASM, the WAHEF has 7 pages with an index for navigation, which change colour as the mandatory fields are completed. They are grey if awaiting completion, black if currently being completed, and green when complete. The declaration section is greyed out until the form has been marked complete. All mandatory fields require completion as they are related to branching questions before moving to the next page. Navigate using either the index or next button. If the mandatory fields are not complete, you will receive a warning message and the field will be highlighted. Be mindful that you can right-click and print separate pages of the form at any time. This way you can view the questions, prepare them in a Word document outside RGS, and then copy and paste into text boxes. Though remember to remove any hyperlinks, endnotes or footnotes from your original text prior to pasting, as this will cause saving errors. If there are additional Australian HRECs reviewing the project in addition to the ones in RGS, you can add them here by selecting their details and then adding them. They will be listed here. The HREC will want to know if the project is financially viable. Enter the funder organisations that are providing either monetary funding or in-kind support and estimate the amount for all sites covered by this ethics application form. If the in-kind support is self-funded, this will be listed under Other. The sites covered by this ethics application form are listed at question 1.2.3. Clicking Next will save, but also remember to save regularly, and close the form to check it back in so it is available to others when you are finished editing it. If you have forgotten to close the form and it remains checked out to you by accident, the CPI or the CPI delegate can override this by force checking in the form. Contact them if this is required. When you have finished editing the form, mark it complete. For the WAHEEF, the CPI can now be contacted to sign it. Once marked complete, if you want to make changes, the form must be unlocked to be able to edit it again. In the WAHEEF, this is found at the bottom of pages 1 to 6. When the CPI signs a WAHEEF, they can sign and authorise it within the form on page 6 or on the declarations page. Their signature will be displayed with the date. Alternatively, the CPI can sign and authorise it within the grid without opening the form. As the WASM doesn't require signing, the CPI or the CPI delegate can authorise it within the form. Alternatively, they can authorise it within the grid. If you want to make changes to an ethics form, once it is authorised, the CPI or the CPI delegate can unauthorise it. But it will have to be re-signed by the CPI if required and reauthorised by the CPI or the CPI delegate. Once completed, you can print the form if required within the form or alternatively within the grid. If required, forms can be printed as a PDF. This is useful when you have to send a WASM to an external reviewing NMA HREC. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you have found it informative.